And after weeks of crisis, which has been threatening to swamp Nigeria's two biggest political parties and inflict a mortal blow to the electoral chances going forward, there appears to be a light at the end of the tunnel after all. The reports have it that the powerful governors of the ruling All Progressive Congress have once again thrown their weight behind the embattled chairman of the party's caretaker and extraordinary convention committee, Governor Mai Malabuni of Yobe State. On the other hand, the leadership of the main opposition party, People's Democratic Party, the PDP, has agreed to allow Uche Secondo's National Working Committee to continue in office till the next national convention, which has been brought forward from December to October, but with an understanding that the current members would not seek re-election. We will now try to get further insights into the crisis in these two leading political parties in Nigeria by speaking with Dr. Daniel BWALA, a lawyer and a member of the All Progressive Congress, and GABRIEL UDUAFI, another lawyer and a public affairs analyst. I want to say welcome, gentlemen, to Newsday. Now, let's start it off with Dr. BWALA. Let's, looking at it, both parties seem to have found a resolution for the impasse within their parties. Some would say it's almost like kicking the can down the road, that this is not a solution to the problem, but rather a stopgap for the immediate.
Well, thank you for having me. In the case of APC, I do not think there has ever been a problem because what people lately have been conversing and dishing out as legal opinion, even misinterpreting what the Supreme Court gave as a judgment, has never been a problem because the Supreme Court was misquoted, misread, and misinterpreted by those who are calling for the dissolution of the caretaker committee. Because the law is clear, and the Supreme Court in fact said that they will not comment on the propriety or otherwise of the leadership of Governor Mai Malabuni because he was not joined in the matter. But even the dissenting judgment, which
butting at this point, but is this not the exact reason we find ourselves where we are, whereby some parties still insist that there is no problem? Meanwhile, there is imminent problem, and there are glaring problems and signs that there are fractions within the party, and some are saying that there are actual problems within the party.
So let me tell you what I mean by there is no problem. If it is the leadership, the caretaker committee leadership, the Constitution of Nigeria and the Constitution of the party is quite express about whether or not he occupies the position and operates legitimately. And you rank that in pari passu with the judgment of the Supreme Court. Now, people have quoted Section 183 and Article 17 sub 4 of the party's constitution and the Constitution of Nigeria to say that Governor Mai Malabuni, while he holds the office while he occupies the office of a governor, he cannot be the chairman of a party. Now, this is where the misconception is. The chairman of a party, even as interpreted by the Supreme Court, is the person who, in our Constitution, has come to that position by virtue of Article 20, and Article 20 says that that executive must come through a democratically conducted election, affirmation, or appointment. And that chairman, which comes under Article 20, must also comply with Article 17 of 1, which said that the position of that chairman will be occupied for 4 years, and then he exercises all the powers thereto. In the case of the caretaker committee chair and his committee, they do not occupy an executive position within the contemplation of Section 183 of the Constitution, Article 17 of 4 of the party's Constitution, Article 20 of the party's Constitution, and Article 17 of 1 of the party's Constitution. So that is the fact as they are. And the minority decision which people are brandishing, like I said, has never been a law. Otherwise, in 2007, President Buhari, who is president today, would have been sworn in as a president because there was a minority judgment in his favor, but the majority judgment is the decision of the court. And the decision of even the Supreme Court in respect of this matter, when it made a comment in passing, said that the post which the chairman of the party occupies is a temporary post that is assigned with a specific post, with a specific assignment, therefore does not qualify as an executive position within the contemplation of the law. So that is what I mean by saying that there is no problem. It's just that some individuals wanted to seize this moment, they know their reasons for whatever they want to do, to misinterpret the public and then create fear in the party in the hope that way they will sack the caretaker committee.
We appreciate your bringing your view to bear on that. Let's get some clarification from the lawyer in the House. Gabriel UDUAFI, barrister, we're trying to understand. Some might say the APC or people like Dr. BWALA are trying to have their cake and eat it. He argues that according to Article 2017(4), it's not referring to Mai Mala Buni, and yet they're saying that he's protected. Again, help me with this, because apparently there's another article of the Constitution that bars caretaker committee people from staying in the position for as long as he has. So help us clarify the issue. Is he a legitimate chairperson or isn't he?
Well, my understanding of the Supreme Court judgment is that, like my colleague said, the Supreme Court judgment did not invalidate the position of Buni as the caretaker committee chairman. Like he rightly said, a minority decision is never a decision of the court. Like he pointed out, the Buhari's 2007 Supreme Court judgment was a split. The Ladoja's removal in Oyo State in 2005 was also a split because Oguntade disagreed with the majority decision that impeachment was illegal because it was conducted in a hotel. Majority said having not conducted that impeachment in accordance with the Constitution is invalid.
Sorry, Barrister UDUAFI, just to check, did the majority, the 7 judges, did they not all agree on the principle that Mai Mala Buni couldn't occupy 2 positions at once?
What the majority decision decided was that the issue of Mai Mala Buni's constitutionality is an issue that should go to a proper court for determination. And that because Mai Mala Buni is not a party to the dispute between Eitai Ojegede and Akeredolu in respect of the election, it's like calling a man to shave his head in his absence, that is not possible. So that having said that the position is that nobody can question that in an election tribunal like Jegede did, and so that position cannot hold. But it was the minority that took the decision to the extreme. And as a lawyer, we always know that the minority decision of the Supreme Court is not the decision. It is the decision of the majority, like in a democracy that follows in the Supreme Court, just as it applies in the United States of America as well, where you have a split of 5-3. The decision of the 5 becomes the decision of the Supreme Court. And I think that what that has done is just to set the ball rolling, to call the attention of the party that, look, there are banana peas. And if there are banana peas, how do you address it? So that is why those who are running the APC must take a step further to see that the party is reformed so that you don't leave these gaps. Because it's the same gaps that led to them losing Zamfara State that we are all aware of. That led to them also, maybe a certificate issue in Bayelsa State. And you wouldn't want to lose that position, because if the position that is being peddled by everybody now is taken to the extreme, it means that the governors like Kayode Fayemi, who is also a chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, should be called to question. It means that the position of Tambuwa, who is the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, should also be called to question. And these are bodies that have now been registered in accordance with the laws of Nigeria, and they have their administrative infrastructures under these governors. So, but generally speaking, that decision of the Supreme Court is addressing all political divide and all political actors that in acting, let us have at the back of our minds that are serious fundamental constitutional issues you must take into consideration. But the Supreme Court did not invalidate the position of Mai Mala Buni as the caretaker committee chairman of
Let's
APC.
bring in Dr. BWALA again. In a bid to sue for peace, we hear that the governors elected on the platform of the APC have actually asked the caretaker committee led by Mai Mala Buni to organize an elective national congress. Will this resolve the crisis? Okay, you say there are no crises in the party, but will this strengthen the party going forward? And when are we expecting this to happen?
Yes, because already the caretaker committee, pursuant to Article 13 of our Constitution, the NEC created that committee with a specific objective, and that is to prepare for the Congress. That is what they have been doing. And the Governors Forum reinforced what they have been doing, which is to fast-track the preparation for the Congress. Let me allay the fears of those who are talking about, like my friend who agrees everything, talks about banana peel. There is no banana peel. Let me tell you something. Even if 7 justices of the Supreme Court said, assuming without conceding, that Mai Mala Buni cannot occupy the position of the chairman, the question you should ask yourself is, what is the contemplation of the chairman in the judgment of the Supreme Court? It is the chairman that comes through democratically conducted election. Mai Mala Buni is not going to run for the position of chairmanship. He did not even come into his position by virtue of election. He is not the chairman of APC party. He is the chairman of caretaker committee that is mandated by Article 13 to carry out the role of preparing for the convention. No banana peel. Rather, it is honey and tea. The thing is that there are individuals who choose to whoop sentiment on this issue in the hope that they can confuse the party into threatening this care committee people to go down. And sadly, they were the same people that gave strong opinion that brought this caretaker committee into operation. So the question people even are asking in our party is, why have you suddenly turned against the same people that you gave opinion for them to come into being? Is it that you have some other reasons? But there is no problem whatsoever in law, in the politics of law, in the politics of the politics that creates any fear. And this committee in the next few months will conduct the Congress. They will be out of our way, and then we continue with the activities of the party. So even the agreement of the Supreme Court regarding what chairmanship is within the contemplation of Article 20, Article 17.1, Article 17.4, and Section 183 of the Constitution. No problem at all whatsoever.
Okay, let me take this to lawyer UDUAFI. Dr. Daniel BWALA is asking why the same people who instituted the caretaker committee now turn against it. Some might suggest that it all goes towards power grabbing towards 2023. I just want to use this opportunity to cross over to the issue bedeviling the PDP party, where Uche Secondus is being pushed to step down before his tenure expires. Do you see that, in your opinion as an objective panelist here, that this all seems to rotate around power grabbing and positioning for 2023, or could there be any other motive for this?
From our understanding of Nigeria political terrain, at least I've been observed this, particularly from 1999 to date, you would always see that once a new cycle of elections are approaching, then politicians tend to do a lot of things to position themselves for the next political position and advantage that is available. And you see that is exactly what is playing out in both the APC, using the Supreme Court judgment as an anchor, and in the PDP, some trying to push Uche Secondus out because there seems to be an attempt to restructure the political party so that a certain group may be entitled to produce the president, or because if the chairmanship is in one position, it will be difficult for that same section to produce the president. That is what I see plays out. But I know before these judgments and this crisis in both parties, immediately the 2019 elections ended, I've told myself, you are going to see a lot from these our politicians. And that is what I think that, because if you say that a group of people propel the Mai Mala Buni's caretaker committee, don't be surprised that they will come back and use that same argument to argue. I enjoy the fantastic argument that my colleague has put in place. And this is why I say that the minority judgment of the Supreme Court should not have gone that far, because that issue was not properly in a forum where both parties can make exhaustive elaborations on this position. I'm hearing this position, sounds very fantastic. But again, politicians are just the one playing the system. And that is why I always advise that when issues like this come to the fore before a judicial body like the Supreme Court, which is the apex court, that court should be able to be tread with caution, knowing that whatever they say or do will be picked up by some desperate political actors to try to stir crisis in the system. And that is what you see happening both in PDP and in APC.
All right, Dr. BWALA, let me piggyback off my colleague who has mentioned that all that we're talking about is not to foster democracy, but rather for some people to actually hold sway and hold the joystick ahead of 2023. Is that the case? And secondly, some PDP, or rather, probably political analysts will say that the PDP are smelling blood in the water when it comes to the APC and the way they go about their affairs leading up to 2023. That things might not just go the way that the APC plans and might just give way for the PDP to probably return back to power.
So this is what I will say in response to the issue you've raised. Now, in politics, people, jostle for power. But my advice is that the jostling for power should be done consistent with democratic ideals and principles. We should shy away from coming to the media space to mislead. Yesterday, one aide of the president came and was trying to mislead the public. In fact, he even cited Section 222 of the Constitution and misapplied it in the context of this conversation. Section 222 of the Constitution talks about a party that will be registered to function in Nigeria. They must have elected officials. The elected officials' name must be registered with INEC. Their office must be in Abuja. But he imported that to even construct an interpretation that this caretaker committee is acting ultra-virus. Then secondly, in the case of PDP, for example, the problem they are having, I do not want to delve into it. The only thing I would do is I would request the chairman of APC to probably send a team of mediators to go there and help them, because they are in critical condition. And from the way they are going, we want a viable opposition in the country. Pardon?
Dr. BWALA, does the APC have a chairman at the moment?
Yes, APC at the moment, has not a substantive chairman, but caretaker committee chairman that is empowered by Article 13. Let me tell you Article 13. Article 13 says the National Executive Committee of the party can create and initiate and appoint a committee howsoever they like and empower them with the power needed to carry out the duties as required. Now that NEC, which is the second highest position of the party, who derives in fact its authority from the convention, now created this committee and tasked them with the responsibility of preparing for convention. That is exactly what the caretaker committee chairman is doing, which is consistent with the Nigerian constitution, consistent with the constitution of the party, consistent with the principles of national justice and democratic ideals.
Okay, let me just move over to the barrister UDUAFI. It would seem that the judges and your profession at large have a central part to play in deciding validity in terms of political parties and their procedures. How would you say you have fared? Because somehow you don't seem to have provided, I'm speaking of your organization now, clarity on the matters concerning the APC, because even as you speak, we've had other players and senior advocates of Nigeria come out, Justice Keyamo being one of them, and state clearly in the alternative to what you've just presented. So why is there so much confusion?
One thing you must get clear is that where there are two lawyers in the house, there are bound to be at least four opinions. Each lawyer can hold two different opinions, depending on where his interest is tilting to be honest with you. But I agree with you that a lot of this confusion is also aided by legal arguments, and these legal arguments are also taken to the Supreme Court. And I want to see a situation where the Supreme Court, to an extent, try to, because there is a principle that has not been completely upturned in this country by decision of the Supreme Court, right from for ages, that the court does not delve into the domestic affairs of a political party. But somehow lawyers have found a way to argue and bring those domestic issues into the forefront of any legal dispute between, that is inter-parties, not even intra-party right now. And the courts have been led to make pronouncements that are causing these hitches left, right, and center. Festus Keyamo is a senior advocate of Nigeria. He now holds a political office. He used to be a voice for the people, but right now he now holds a political office. Depending on where his interest is, he's going to interpret, because he's a very smart lawyer. And what a smart lawyer does is to look at the pronouncement of the court or the provision of the law and try to pick loopholes to interpret it in the way he wants. And that is why you see that in the US today, even some top Republican lawyers are saying that Trump did not the Republicans did not commit an insurrection by instigating that crisis in the U.S. Those are strong political consideration and argument. And if you listen to both sides, you are bound to, but this is a human affair. Political parties is a human affair, and you are bound to see some of these issues come up. But what I must advise both parties is that for the governors who are moving to have a reformation of the system, so that this crisis do not consume the political parties, like the Progressive Governors Forum, their approach should be taken on board, because that is the only way the party can look for. This is how PDP was unable to bring itself together prior to 2015, and they lost power. So if some governors in the APCs are saying that, let us come together and see how we can refocus our party for 2023, which is ultimately, in my view, is the focus of all of these things, then it will serve everybody better.
Okay, before, just to wrap it up, briefly, Dr. BWALA, please tell us, is this the last we hear of these issues, talking about the divergent opinions about the caretaker committee in the APC? Or would this still rear its ugly head and they might not listen to the governors?
As long as the Constitution is there, people will express their opinion. So somebody can come tomorrow and say anything. But the most important thing, which are two issues briefly, and I will tell you, my brother, is that one, the Supreme Court did not determine the question as to whether caretaker position is also the position of chairman. It has never been raised as an issue, has never been argued. The argument in the Supreme Court is that he couldn't have signed or he couldn't have operated in that capacity. So you cannot draw a conclusion on that. And vast majority of the party and the leadership agreed with the position we have canvassed. Secondly, the very fact that a senior advocate of Nigeria gave an opinion does not make the opinion superior to a non-senior advocate. In our discipline of law, we make the argument, judges draw judgment.
You stated your position quite clearly there. Thank you, Daniel BWALA and Gabriel UDUAFI, for giving us your time on Newsday.